Hello there! I'm your average booktuber. Today I wanted to recount a recent trip I made to our collective favorite place, the bookstore. I was really proud of this trip because while I'm usually spending my money on books that I may never read or I'm just being tempted by the cover or the idea of having these books, I feel like today I made lots of really quality purchases, so let's get started. The first book I purchased today was the hardcover collector's edition of Insurgent. What really struck me about this edition was the few pages of extra content that I'll probably never look at in the back of the book. I also thought it would look really nice on my shelf next to the original hardcover, the original paperback version, and the movie tie-in edition. I'm so glad to have all of these options for when I decide to never reread this book. After escaping from young adult, I headed over to the art and photography section of the bookstore. Recently I've read a lot about different artists, specifically photographers, so I thought I would pick up a few $50 books that I haven't done so much as flip through on Annie Leibovitz and another photography book from Ansel Adams. With all of my spare time as a working, involved student, I know that the $70 that I spent on these books just now will definitely pay off. After venturing over to the bargain section of the bookstore, I decided that I needed to stop asking myself why, but instead ask, why not? In a surge of impulsivity, I decided to learn the essentials of psychology. After all, my direct deposit just kicked in today, and I didn't need the extra $8 for food or anything else. And while I'm learning about those artists, I decide to also pick up a book through the eyes of Van Gogh. Talk to me next week and I'm sure I will have read this. The other night Shark Tank was on TV and my favorite shark was Laurie Grenier. So when I found out that she had a book, there was truly no option but for me to drop $20 immediately. After picking up this book, Invent It, Sell It, Bank It, as someone who hasn't invented anything, but is just interested in her life, I'm confident that over the next year I'll read 2 pages of this book. During my visit, I decided I might as well stroll down the graphic novel section of the bookstore. In my life, I've read one Scott Pilgrim graphic novel last year, and I loved it and really planned on continuing the series. I knew I had the first 4 books on my shelf, so the only logical next move for me was to pick up books 5 and 6, because on some free day, I may just want to read all of them, and I won't have an opportunity to come back and buy them when I'm actually at this point in the series. And finally, after reading a few poems in an English class, I decided that I really needed the complete Tales and Poems by Edgar Allan Poe. After all, there was a space on my bookshelf about this big, and it's not there anymore. You would think after years of being an avid book reader and book buyer that maybe I would fly off the handle and buy things that I didn't really need or probably would never even touch on my shelf or were maybe too expensive or not logical to buy at that time. But it seems like I've really kept hold of myself. And I don't know about you, but I've got a lot of books to read now. My name is Tiernan and this has been A Cry for Help. I'll see you very soon.